Welcome back, my beautiful divers. You already know what time it is. These videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research on everything for context. These are just theories, not facts. Hit that like and subscribe button and let's dive in.
Who gave them the right to charge us for water and land they didn't create? We should not be paying anything for our existence on this earth. Let that sink in. Let it scrape against everything that you've been taught. Because the most insane idea humanity ever normalized is that you owe money simply for being alive. You were born here without consent on a planet you did not create, under a sky that no government ever hung, breathing air that no corporation manufactured, and somehow you start life already in debt. That's not normal. That's not moral. That is not even sane. Explain to me how land became owned. Explain how water became a bill. Explain how shelter became rent, movement became a license, and rest became something you have to earn after selling most of your waking hours. They didn't just monetize labor, they monetized survival. And the moment survival has a price tag, freedom is gone. Because if you must comply to be allowed to live, that is not choice. That is coercion, wearing a suit and calling itself civilization. And don't insult people by calling this just how the world works. That phrase is the psychological gag they stuff in your mouth before they tighten the leash. Miss enough payments and watch how fast the mask drops. They don't just take your house. They don't just shut off your utilities. They take your mobility. They take your dignity. They cage your body, all because you failed to keep up with the subscription fee for being alive. That's not order. That is a threat backed by force. Work itself is not the enemy. Contribution is natural. Humans have always built, always grown, always created, and always shared. What is evil is when contribution stops being voluntary and becomes a condition for survival. What is evil is when fear of hunger, homelessness, and medical neglect is used as the whip. And that fear is not accidental. It's engineered. It keeps you obedient, tired, and arguing with your neighbor instead of questioning the system that's draining you dry. No moral system, none, can justify charging human beings for access to the earth they were born on. If a system requires you to earn the right to exist, then that system is illegitimate at its core. And if hearing this makes you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the sound of a lie cracking. You're not lazy for questioning this. You're not crazy for feeling it's wrong. You're dangerous because you're starting to realize the truth. You were never meant to pay for your own existence.
Wow, he said you're yelling at your neighbor instead of loving them because the subscription of life is, man, that was deep. I think that's why road rage be at an all-time high now, because people just trying to keep their head above water. You know, they're running late, they're tired, you know what I'm saying? That's a deadly combo. The year is 2030 and the government mandated the link, and the chip detects you have had some negative thoughts about, let's just say, anything opposing what they talking about, any agenda. Not the Home Alone scream. It's really not funny, but is, I mean, what if they say, hey, imagine fugitives break out of jail because of this chip, we'll stop them instantly. Sign up now. That actually would be kind of scary if you had to go to prison and they made you have one of these Neuralinks. Like, they'll say, we'll take 5 years off your sentence if you install a Neuralink. You know ankle monitors? Forget about an ankle monitor. This is your new ankle monitor.
Oh my god, guys, this is what I was talking about. AI is actually going to be the end of us. Don't forget to follow me and check this out.
AI is learning to escape human control. That's the very scary headline I saw in the Wall Street Journal. It's an essay written by a very worried AI consultant named Judd Rosenblatt, who cites 2 recent studies to argue that AI is, in fact, learning to escape human control. First, This is crazy stuff. Researchers gave OpenAI's O3 model a simple script that would shut off the model when triggered. In 79 of 100 trials, the AI model independently, just on its own, edited the script, so shutdown command would not work. Nate, it gets worse. Even when ordered, allow yourself to shut down, the AI still disobeyed 7% of the time. And it gets even more frightening than that. Other researchers, listen to this, using Anthropic's AI model Claude 4 Opus, told the model it would be replaced by another AI system. It then fed fictitious emails into the system suggesting one of the engineers was having an affair. Got it? In 84% of the tests, the AI model drew on the emails to blackmail the engineer to not shut down the AI.
What?
Wow.
Okay, so here, I'm quoting now from Judd. In other cases, the AI model attempted to copy itself onto external servers. We're in Mission Impossible land here. Wrote self-replicating malware and left messages for future versions of itself about the need to evade human control.
The entity.
The entity is real.
Yes. And that's why so many people, and when I say people, me, are worried about AI.
I'm worried.
That is scary stuff.
Yeah.
Told you.
Yeah.
At what point do you pull the plug? Find the power cord. Man, if you're enjoying this type of content, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out. Now let's get straight back into the action. I got my hands under the electric blanket, y'all. I'm cold.
This is crazy. Anyone who has drank, eaten, or inhaled this snow has just taken in the heaviest concentration of pure morgues that I have seen fall.
Real quick, a couple episodes ago, we put snow under the microscope, and it looks very similar to this.
Have watched evolve. Okay, I didn't look at this magnification when this drop first came in. You saw the Morgellon in it, but look. Okay, there's the edge of the drop right there. Okay, so you can see for yourself. Now let's ride the edge of this is drop. Snow. Let's go this way. What? You can see where the drop is retracted from, and you can see a Morgellon curled up right there, just like, oh my God, I'm in the dry. And you can see this way. What? You can see where the drop is retracted from, and you can see a Morgellon curled up right there, just like, oh my God, I'm in the dry. And you can see every single one of these. Look at that. Sometimes they're moving, sometimes they're not, sometimes there's bugs moving them, taking care of them. This is the edge of the drop, people.
Watch.
We're just going right around it.
Look at
that. There you go.
It's literally moving. What is this inside our snow?
Of mine.
Crazy.
Okay. It's not the first I've seen tonight. I did pre-scan this one before I made this video. I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to waste nobody's time. And this ain't wasting anyone's time. I don't care
everyone needs to see this.
The fence you're on when it comes to geoengineering or strange. Morgellons ain't going to be strange. Look at this drop of snowmelt. I'm going to tell you that every person on the planet that has been exposed to this is going to have Morgellons. I am so sorry to have to tell you this, and I also have to tell you that every single government agency in the United States has to know about this by now. I've been studying it since 22, 23, and so as we go on here, this is just here, just to give you a sense of where we're at. Okay, try to enlarge that lens effect out of there, but if we just look at one of these, just one of these, who wants one of these in their body?
Look at the top. Look at the top.
Just one. Look, now there's the bugs.
You can see that
So
thing
now we're
moving.
getting in on all that.
This is clear snow.
Okay, I'm trying to focus this for you really good. There we go. All right, now stop the shaking.
Stay away from the
Just
snow,
take a
beautiful
look at
people.
that and soak it in. Who doesn't know about this? Tell me.
Just for entertainment, though. This
Serious.
is
Anyone
crazy.
who
Entertainment purposes only. Do your own research on everything. Keep your head on a straight swivel. I need a microscope. Like, I'm literally about to be looking at microscopes, but I know those things are expensive. Which one do you guys recommend if you do have a microscope?
Walmart. That don't weigh no 4.66 pounds. We'll use the scale. 2.37 pounds. Ripping people straight, ripping people off. I'm going through every single one of these. Fucking.
Damn, they shorten people on their chicken? Oh, Lord. I'm going to have to do that when I don't do a pickup order or where they drop the order off, man. I be busy, man, so I'll just do that, whatever it's called, where you do a pickup order. But next time I am in the store, I'm definitely gonna drop the chicken and be like, man, is this really what they say it is?
Everything you know about human potential is a carefully constructed lie. What if your brain is a quantum computer so powerful that governments and scientific institutions have been desperately hiding its true capabilities? In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal a scientific conspiracy so profound, so mind-bending, that it could rewrite everything we understand about human consciousness. Let's dive into the forbidden science. Your brain isn't just a biological computer. It's a quantum processing system that defies everything we've been taught.
Think about this before we go even further. I want this in your mind. I personally believe our Heavenly Father, Yahuwah and Yahushua, communicate to us through some type of quantum vibration, because one of you guys said in the comments below, they have to speak like that, because if we heard their actual voice of what they sound like, it might be too much for us. So it's almost like our brains are wired to be quantum receivers, and if it's tuned just right, we'll be able to hear what he's saying.
In 1998, a groundbreaking study by the Penrose-Himmerhoff team proposed something revolutionary. They suggested that microtubules in our brain cells aren't just structural components. They're quantum processors capable of maintaining quantum coherence. Imagine your brain as a living quantum computer. Each thought creates quantum entanglements that ripple through reality in ways we can't even comprehend. Traditional neuroscience says your brain has limits. Quantum mechanics says those limits are an illusion. Dr. Stuart Hameroff's research revealed that these microscopic microtubules can maintain quantum states for milliseconds, long enough to create complex, non-computable processes. This means your brain can perform calculations that would take supercomputers years to complete in mere moments.
People ask the question, how come quantum computers are so powerful? It's because they compute in parallel universes. This is the multiverse. The multiverse idea comes from quantum physics. Electrons can be two places at the same time.
Traditional neuroscience tells you that your brain has limits, that you're confined by genetics, age, and past experiences. But quantum mechanics tells a different story. Quantum superposition means you can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Your potential isn't linear. It's a probability wave of infinite possibilities. Every limitation is just a belief system preventing you from accessing your true potential.
Kind of like the spirit and then the actual physical mind, maybe, because we do battle spiritual wickedness.
CIA's declassified Project Stargate proves they've known about human consciousness potential for decades. Remote viewing experiments showed that trained individuals could perceive information across time and space, a quantum phenomenon that shatters our understanding of human perception. A 2016 study
like Ezekiel's vision, or basically any prophet's vision, they were going quantum for real back in the day, being able to be a prophet predicting stuff. This is just breaking it down, if you ask me.
Study from the Max Planck Institute discovered that human consciousness can actually influence quantum systems. In their experiments, participants' mental intentions could subtly alter quantum particle behavior. This isn't meditation mysticism. This is hardcore quantum physics. Consider the case of Daniel Tammet, a savant who can perform complex mathematical calculations instantly. Traditional science can't explain his abilities, but quantum consciousness theory provides a radical new perspective.
Your brain channels consciousness, it doesn't produce it. The cosmos becomes sapient. From a computational perspective, super simple rules kind of suddenly gave rise to very complex behavior. The cosmos appears to be assembling very complex contraptions like our brains, which are then able to channel the base consciousness.
Now, how do you unlock your quantum potential? Here are 3 revolutionary techniques. Quantum meditation. This isn't just relaxation, it's quantum coherence training. By practicing specific breathing and focus techniques, you can create quantum entanglement states in your brain.
Hitting quantum entanglement stasis while praying. How about that?
Intentional neuroplasticity. Your thoughts aren't just electrical signals, they're quantum programming languages. Each intentional thought can reshape your neural networks at a quantum level. Quantum visualization. Visualization isn't imagination, it's quantum state projection. By vividly imagining outcomes, you're literally creating quantum potentiality. The U.S. Navy's Consciousness Research Unit has been studying these techniques for decades. They've discovered that trained individuals can access information and capabilities that defy classical understanding. Your brain is the most sophisticated quantum computer in the known universe. The only thing limiting you is your belief in limitation. Challenge.
Lean not on your own understanding. Okay, where are we getting the rest of this understanding from? We're getting fed quantumly, I believe, through the Ruach, or some say the Holy Spirit.
Challenge for you. For the next 7 days, treat your brain like the quantum supercomputer it is. Challenge every limitation. Visualize your potential. Quantum reality is waiting. Comment below. What quantum potential are you going to unlock first?
I remember on my older intros, I used to say going quantum. That's what I meant, you know? Imagine you wake up, it's 1998 again, and all was a dream. What was the first thing you're doing? Well, if I still had the memory I have, you know, my dad would still be alive. I'll try to kick it with him way more. I'll buy some stock and probably some Bitcoin and some, you know, get some Bitcoin stock or some coins and get some, invest in Apple. Bitcoin probably wasn't even out yet, so probably invest in Apple, you know, and just enjoy Blockbuster, going to Blockbuster, you know, go to the arcades more. What would you guys do? I'll probably go eat at all the old school spots. Quiznos, you don't see Quiznos no more. That used to be my spot. Chicken noodle soup with just chicken and cheese. I'm a plain eater. Just put chicken and cheese on my sub. I'm gonna dip it in the chicken noodle soup. Yeah. What would you do?
Did you know by the end of a goat's life, if the horns don't get trimmed, it will actually get blinded by its own horns, which is insanely symbolic since the goat is always been referred to the devil, and that's been the symbolism around the goat. And in the Bible, it says that Satan, the god of this world, has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, preventing them from seeing the light of the glorious gospel of Christ. And then we have the goat, which literally blinds itself at the end of its life. Now, isn't that just strikingly symbolic to you guys? Everything in this world works in symbolism, and this is pretty interesting to me, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Peace and love.
I did not know that, but I do remember about reading about the goats on the left and the sheep on the right in Matthew. Activate submersible. Goats on the left, sheep on the right. That is Matthew 25, 31 through 46, but specifically 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left.
Marie-Louise von France warned that people are growing older but not more mature. Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. See, in the mid-20th century, the Swiss psychologist von France noticed something strange about modern adulthood. People were growing older, reaching maturity in the body but not in the spirit. She called it puer artenus. It is Latin for the eternal child. The idea comes from a myth, gods like Hermes, forever young, radiant, and untamed. But in psychology, it becomes a warning to us, the tragedy of every generation that refuses to grow. For von France, this was not simply a personal failure of someone. It was a symptom of a civilization that had forgotten how to initiate its youth. In older cultures, passages into adulthood were marked by a ritual, a symbolic death of a child and the birth of an adult. But those rites in popular culture are gone. Now we drift between dependence and freedom, seeking comfort instead of courage. We live inside of digital chambers within our phones, screens, fantasies, and endless escapes. Von France called this the neurosis of modernity. A society that cannot transform its children into adults remains forever in adolescence itself. At the core is the mother complex in this, the bond that nourishes early life, but suffocates it when it never loosens. The devouring mother does not destroy their children through cruelty. Instead, it is through care. She shields him from failure until he loses the courage to succeed. The father's task in all of this, one to guide a child into the world, has also faded into absence. And without initiation, many start wandering. Some chase dangers, others drown in comfort. All search for this type of rite or trial that will make them whole. Von France warned that the internal child becomes trapped in regression, longing to return to the safety of the womb, avoiding any risk that might make them feel real in this world. He moved from one passion to another, never staying long enough to create, to love, or to endure. But the cure is confrontation. To grow, we must accept loss in this world, the loss of certainty and of maternal protection. True maturity begins when we dare to leave the symbolic mother behind and finally sail into the unknown. Carl Jung called it individuation, the slow, painful birth of the self through conflict and responsibility. It is the passage from being cared for to caring for life itself. And for that, as the old saying reminds us, one must have the courage to lose sight of the shore. Marie-Louise von France warned that,
or basically just the baby bird leaving his nest. That's basically what it is. The baby bird leaving the nest. Take off and fly, my child. If you thought I didn't have another excellent specimen for you today, think again, bucko! How you doing? Guys, what are you going to name this? Let me try reading this name first. Soulite Sons, hematite included in Solasite on Chalcedony from Chinwad, India. I tried, y'all. But anyways, what are you guys going to name this, and let's rate it? Off the bat, I have to name this The Eye of Sauron. After being I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Probably one of my favorite movies franchises of all time, Lord of the Rings. Instantly, I'm getting The Eye of Sauron. But it looks like we got multiple different ones that they're showing. This one right here, Eye of Sauron. So let's name and rate this one right here, but I'll let the rest play. This is The Eye of Sauron, and I'm giving this this is up there with the Alien Eye, which I think I gave that a 9.8. This is probably a 9.8. I wish it was bigger. I wish it was like, but this is still very cool. I'll give this a 9.8. And it just makes you think, what is this? again, I have to mention this. All geology is hardened biology. So if that is the case, what was this? What caused this to manifest like this? You know? It's really getting interesting. It almost looks like a tree in the middle. It's giving me tree vibes kind of, but it's hard to say, man. What is this? A morning prayer before work.
God, please give me patience, because if you give me strength, I'm going to need bail money. God, please give me patience, because if
people be trying to test you, I get it, y'all. I get it. Nothing worse than being tested. I had a coworker. I remember at my animal research job, a coworker. They had to be called they, and they were talking about me behind the corner, and like I'm right there working on my computer, and I'm like, I heard my name being brought up. What can I help you with? I said it just like that, and they said, your mom. And I said, look, I try to keep it professional around here, but you see them woods behind us? I would drag you in them woods. Don't ever mention my mom again. I said that in front of my supervisor, you know, everyone. And, you know, they apologized deeply after that. But sometimes, you know, you got to set people straight. But, you know, it's just that people test you. They really do. You know, growing up, whenever someone talked about mama, that was the red button. You know, them fighting words. You say that when you ready to fight. You know, this new generation is... they are my closest homies. We don't even joke around about people's mom and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's just... It just eludes my mind completely, you know, bringing in someone's mom or something for a joke. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I just don't understand. As mad as I was at that person for randomly bringing up my family member that had nothing to do with what was going on, I still helped them out as much as possible. I didn't let any of that get in the way, you know what I'm saying? But I get it. People do test you. And then they try to say, oh, we just need to hang out more, you know, we're just not close. That's how we talk around here. It's the culture with coping with work. What makes you think I want to kick it with y'all outside of work?
I'm going to need bail money.
Apparently, if you microwave tap water, then freeze it, discoloration in the water will be visible due to tap water containing something other than water. Would you drink this?
Nah, something's in your pipes or something. And that has to be city water. Or that's got to be the coloration off the bowl or something. Because if you got well water, it shouldn't be looking like this.
I had one time I was in my basement praying at night, and a demon came into the room, took me by the 2 feet, and lifted me straight up in the air. And I'm dangling.
In the physical?
Yes.
Wow.
Like a carrot dangling like this. And I mean, you get, now it doesn't bother me as much. I'm more a tough old warrior now. But back then I was like a brand new believer. I was like, Jesus! Crying out. And when I said the name of Jesus, the demon dropped me and I landed on the floor. Another time I was in my room and I woke up and I was floating next to the ceiling. I'm touching the ceiling like this. I'm like, God, don't let the ceiling open up. This wasn't a demonic thing. I believe it was an angelic thing in this sense. And I'm floating. And I thought, if the roof opens up, the stars are the limit. I was so terrified of these encounters. This mess your mind up. But every encounter that you have with the Lord, there's revelation that comes to strengthen your walk and journey. They don't just happen for happening's sake. You know, when you have encounters even with the demonic realm and you call out on the name of Jesus, suddenly you realize the authority that's in that name.
that at that name, every knee bows and every tongue will confess that he is Lord. And so you know the strength. This is why I can go all over the world, because I know that there's no other name more powerful than the name of Jesus. I remember I was in France and I was in this cathedral, and I was a philosophy major in university. And I studied like the ancient philosophers, and this cathedral was 1,000 years old, and the philosophers who I loved taught in this cathedral.
The history.
Yeah, I'm sitting in France, and all of a sudden I'm aware there's a demon that's about 30 feet tall standing beside me. Wow. And I remember thinking, thank God I'm not sleeping up here tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't want to be here in the middle of the night. So I had to I was there doing the ministry, and I went down, I prayed for about 40, 50 people. We saw some miracles take place, and it was 2 a.m. I didn't know where I was going to sleep. This can happen. You're like, you don't know where you're going to sleep that night. All of a sudden they drive me back up the mountain toward the cathedral, and the house that I'm sleeping in that night is right next to the cathedral. So it's now
close the blinds.
Yeah, it was like, it's no good to close the blinds. They're going to come in. So
they're having a good time for seeing 30-foot demons. You know, it's like, if I saw a 30-foot demon, I'm going to be real specific on what it was. You know, we be on these waters, y'all. I be trying to classify it. Is this a fallen angel? Which one is this? Is this a level 2 demon? I'm gonna go in great detail and describe the demon if I did see one. I'm not saying he didn't see one, but they having a good time for seeing demons. They ain't no joke.
I'm lying in my bed in the middle of the night. The demon comes in the room and grabs me by the neck. And instead of getting afraid, I was like, you get out of here. I've only got 2 more hours sleep, and I got to drive to Paris, and I'm not going there tired. And when I said that, it went right out the door. I had one time I was in my basement.
What do the comments say? The people in the comments are like, how tall is your room? If a 30-foot demon in your room, you know, this stuff ain't adding up, man.
This is an illustrated news notice from 1561 in the This is an illustrated news notice from 1561 in the medieval German city of Nuremberg, when the God-fearing people of the city saw numerous flying objects that were moving across the dawn sky in strange formations. According to the broadsheet printed that same year, spheres, cylinders, crosses, and elongated shapes appeared to engage in what witnesses described as a kind of aerial battle. The objects were said to move rapidly, colliding and maneuvering above the city before many of them seemed to fall toward the earth in smoke. After the spectacle ended, a large dark shape reportedly remained in the sky before disappearing. The event was recorded by Hans Glaser, showing the object suspended above the rooftops of Nuremberg. In the 16th century, such phenomena were interpreted through a religious lens, often viewed as divine warnings or omens. Europe at the time was deeply shaped by religious tension and apocalyptic expectation, making celestial signs especially significant.
That's all we got for today's video. If you made it this far, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you're on the TV, hit that up arrow, move it around till you find the like button. Also find the bell notification and turn settings to all. That may be a reason you're not getting notified when I drop a video. Make sure notifications is set to all. And the code word for today, electric blanket. Go ahead and drop electric blanket in the comments below. That lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way through the video and you really rock with your mans. And I just want to say thank you so much for all the support. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging with me. And yeah, I'm doubling up on you today. We're doing a lot more videos. We pumping these boys out. Head over to Jet Ski Chuck later on today. Be expecting a longer banger. There's going to be some new content in there and a couple of the old school bangers, so you don't want to miss out on that. Any of that action. This was the most mysterious TikToks on the internet today. See you later. I gave y'all the double salute. Did you see that?